Welcome to Muldrotha, the Gravetide. As far as opening hand goes, yeah, it looks pretty good. We're going to keep on this one. We have 3 lands in the hand. We do have a dredge option with Stinkweed Imp, and we have a little bit of action to hopefully kind of keep Azusa off the battlefield. So I'll definitely take that one. Let's see what we want to. Let's go and get down. I think Windswept Heath. That sounds pretty good. Let's go and get that down, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. But yes, welcome to the Swamps of Dominaria, partner. Hope you're excited. Go into that swamp, see what we can dredge up for our opponent, see what we can show off to them. We are playing Muldrotha, the Gravetide. During each of your turns, you may play up to 1 permanent card of each permanent type from your graveyard. So, artifact, enchantment, planeswalker, anything like that, we're going to be able to cast out of the graveyard. We can also play lands out of the graveyard too, so it makes for a really fun commander. Let's go and crack this Windswept Heath. Let's go and grab a probably a black-green source. Let's go and grab Overgrown Tomb, have that come into play tap. Not going to pay 2 life. Let's kick it back over to our turn. Let's go and get down the Flooded Strand. Drawn to Deathrite Shaman, okay. Let's go and get down Flooded Strand. Let's go and go for Deathrite Shaman, and then anything else. We're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. We're playing against Azusa, Lost but Seeking. You may play 2 additional lands on each of your turns, so pretty much that's it's mono green ramp. They get a lot of lands on the battlefield. The next thing you know, we'll see what our opponent's build is. But most of the time when you're playing against Azusa, it tends to be a lot of Eldrazi. That's kind of what's going on. So we'll have to be on the lookout for that. Hopefully we can get some good stuff going. We do have Titania, Protector in the hand. So we can get her on the battlefield, start getting those lands in the graveyard, get those elementals going, and hopefully that'll kind of give us enough to kind of maybe survive the Eldrazi onslaught. But like I said, we'll see what our opponent's rolling out there. Let's go and crack the Flooded Strand. We have a black, green, blue, green. Let's go and grab a black, blue source. Let's go and grab this Watery Grave. Not going to pay 2 life. And let's go and get down Tropical Island. Now, I guess at this point right now, yeah, I like it. We can get down Tropical Island. We can go for Merciless Executioner. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. Is that what we're going to go for? We'll have 4 online with Deathrite Shaman. Yeah, let's go and do that. Either opponents get rid of Azusa or they get rid of Dryad Arbor. We could choose one with Ravenous Chupacabra, but I like holding on that one. Let's go and go for Merciless Executioner. We'll go and leave it up to our opponent on this one. See what they want to go for. And this is what makes Muldrotha so much fun, is that we'll sacrifice Merciless Executioner, excuse me, and send Azusa back to the command zone. Let's go and swing in for 1. Yeah, like that. Swinging for 1. We're not above Deathrite Shaman beat sticks, and then pass turn to our opponent. But yeah, with Muldrotha, that's what makes it so fun, is you can kind of spend your early game, hopefully getting some sort of board control on your opponent's stuff. And then at the same time, once you finally do get down Muldrotha, you can cast Merciless out of the graveyard and really start putting some pressure onto your opponent, and then kind of start to go from there. All right, opponent's going to go for Green Sun Zenith for 4, so let's see what they're going to roll out on this one. And then our opponent did search up Oracle, and they do have a Smuggler's Copter on top of their library. So we'll try and keep track of what's going on top. Fauna Shaman, okay. It's going to get down Woodland Cemetery. So we're looking at 5 total mana, 1 away from Muldrotha. Yeah, I really like going for Ravenous Chupacabra on this one. We're going to go double black. Go for Ravenous Chupacabra. Let's take care of Oracle. There we go. I want to get rid of that extra land drop. And there was a Smuggler's Copter on top, so I'm going to go and write that down. We'll keep track of it. Like I said, once again, we'll have that 27-turn clock swinging across with Deathrite Shaman, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So as far as next turn goes, hopefully we run into a land that'll allow us to get down Muldrotha. We can start to catch. We don't really have a ton of stuff going on in the graveyard right now. Our swamp's just a little baby swamp. We have just Merciless, who's just kind of hanging out in the kiddie pool right now. But once we get down Muldrotha, and then we start, once we get down Stinkweed Imp, and somehow we can, let's say that we do end up going for Merciless out of the graveyard, we can sacrifice Stinkweed Imp. That'll give us that option of getting some really good dredge option going. All right. And we do hit that land drop. Awesome. Let's go and get down Polluted Delta. Let's go and crack Polluted Delta. And we're going to exile one of our opponent's lands out of their graveyard. We're going to make sure that keep them out of the graveyard if they do get on some sort of option that goes for that. Let's go and tap out for a Deathrite Shaman, not Deathrite Shaman, Muldrotha. Let's go and exile this Misty Rainforest. And we'll go and add green to our mana pool. Seems fitting on that one. Green, let's go blue, let's go black. Let's go and tap out for Muldrotha. If our opponent's got some, we're playing against mono green, so we don't have to worry about any sort of spot removal. Do we want to push in with Ravenous Chupacabra? And the Smuggler's Copter is going to crew up. No, we'll go and pass the turn. Let's be able to crew up from 1. That'll give some card filtering, and then we'll just go and pass the turn to our opponent. At this point right now, we don't really want to give them too much card advantage. They have kind of slowed the breaks down just a little bit. We have seen, well, I'm actually going to go for Realms Uncharted, but we're at turn 5. They're only sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4. They've got Dryad Arbor on the battlefield. So we've been able to kind of answer what they've got on the battlefield so far with Oracle and the stuff like Azusa. Let's see what they're going to search up, though, with Realms Uncharted. Okay, so we're looking, yeah, this is definitely Eldrazi build. We've got Eldrazi Temple, Temple of the False God, Wasteland, Then Eye of Ugin. I think at this point right now, let's go ahead and go for, we're going to have to put 2 cards into the graveyard. Let's go for Eye of Ugin in the graveyard. Yeah, when we keep that in there, we can start to use Deathrite Shaman in a proactive way. They have Wasteland, but we're going to be able to start making our land drops. Temple of the False God, I'm fine with that. And let's go and put Eldrazi Temple into the graveyard. So it's going to be Temple and then Wasteland that our opponent does have in their hand. I'm just going to write that down. There we go. Always trying to keep up with it, and that's going to cross off Temple of the False God, and that's going to leave Wasteland in their hand. They're not going to be able to make an extra land drop, depending on what they get down. We'll see. Opponent does end up going for all his death, so that will take care of Muldrotha. See if it's the land for the turn. Mystery. Temple of Mystery. That's not too bad. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to go for Titania. Yeah, that's going to bring another land back to the hand. We'll still get a scry. I can really start going for that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go and go for Titania. I kind of like going for that. It's going to allow us to get an elemental onto the battlefield. We can bring back one of our fetch lands. Go and bring back that Polluted Delta. Let's go and crack Polluted Delta. That would get the elemental going. I think this is the first time I've actually had Titania online. Let's go and go for... We'll get down Breeding Pool. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, let's go and go for Breeding Pool. And let's go and, yeah, not going to have that shock. Not going to pay 2 life. Let's go and go for Temple of Mystery. Let's go and get that scry going. Eternal Witness on... Yeah, I think I kind of like that. We're looking at a Muldrotha next turn. Yeah, let's go and put that on top of our library. It kind of keeps us open. Anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. Now, as far as new additions to the deck with Muldrotha, I made 1 new addition to the deck. I added, after we played Yargle last week, and I was scared to death that we were going to lose a Yargle game to a Seal of Removal. I was like, that's a pretty good high-impact card for Muldrotha. So I did add Seal of Removal to the deck. That's something that we're working, that if you didn't see the video, basically Seal of Removal is a 1-mana, blue mana enchantment. Opponent's going to get down prime time. Okay. All right, now this is the fun's going to start. But yeah, so with Seal of Removal, it's 1 mana enchantment, activation, return target creature to its owner's hand, and it just works really well in the build like Muldrotha. Let's say we have some good stuff like Titania on the battlefield. We have a lot of elementals. We can get it down the previous turn, crack it, bounce one of our opponent's creatures back to their hand, recast it, bounce another one back to the hand. We're also running the 1-drop in blue exploit creature too. That's really good to keep sending it back to the hand. So it's just really good, That's what makes Muldrotha so fun, is you end up with these enchantments and stuff like that. They're just really low investment. You can get them on the battlefield, you can keep casting stuff out of the graveyard. Now, as far as next turn goes, I'm just going to switch gears on that one. As far as next turn goes, opponent does have prime time on the battlefield. We'll see what they're going to search up on this one. We can end up going for Muldrotha, but we still have Eternal Witness on top of our library. So more than likely, we're going to end up going for either Merciless Executioner, or we'll go for Ravenous Chupacabra. We just really don't want to run into a spot where our opponent's going to keep going for these primetime activations. So, in fact, let's go and see what they're going to search up off this. There we go. All right, they get Petrified Field, return target land card from your graveyard to your hand, and then Shrine of the Forsaken Gods. Okay. Let's go and draw into that Eternal Witness. Opponent's going to go for Underground Sea in response to that. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much we can do. Yeah, that's fine. Going to take care of Underground Sea. We'll get a 5/3 elemental for our troubles off that one. And we're still going to be online for at least Eternal Witness and Merciless Executioner. So I still kind of like that line of play. Let's go ahead and go for that. Let's go for Eternal Witness. We're just really at this point going to bank that hopefully our opponent doesn't really have a whole lot of action in their hand. Let's go for Eternal Witness on a Merciless Executioner. It would have been nice to use Eternal Witness for one of our fetch lands to grab, another elemental going, but at this point right now, I like keeping prime time off the battlefield. Let's go for Merciless Executioner. Let's put on Primeval Titan on the chopping block. All right, opponent's going to, in response to that, crew up Smuggler's Copter. Okay. Each player sacrifices a creature. We're going to sacrifice Merciless, get that into the graveyard. We're going to hold on to our elementals. And then, yeah, they could go for, they can actually sacrifice Smuggler's Copters in response to that. All right, let's go and swing it for 10. That will put our opponent down to 16. Then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. Hopefully we'll be able to survive next turn. We are looking at 3 cards in our opponent's hand. They still have to go and pay for the Summoner's Pack too, so it's going to be 2 green in their Temple of the False God. So thankfully, hopefully, fingers crossed, not really looking at... a huge Eldrazi this turn. They're looking at about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in the neighborhood of about 5 mana. We'll see what they do search up, though, with Prime Time. If they do want to swing in with Primeval Titan, we can go for Eternal Witness and the Elemental block. But at least on the back end, we're looking at 15 points of damage coming across. So depending on how they kind of sequence it, we might be able to kind of really put some pressure on our opponent. Opponent just got an Tireless Tracker, and It's just like I have to do this every time I see Tireless Tracker. I just cannot stop talking about how good of a card this is, especially in a land stack like this. Getting those clue tokens ends up being some really good value. Okay, opponent's gonna pass the turn. No swinging from our opponent. Drawn to Baleful Strix. Do we want to go for Muldrotha? It's gonna be 8 total mana, which we cannot go for just yet. Let's do this. Let's go and go for Baleful Strix. That way we'll get a little bit of extra card draw coming off of that. We'll see what we can draw into. Drawn to Bayou, okay. Let's go ahead and go for, let's get Bayou down. And I think at this point, we're just kind of okay with dumping our hand down. Let's go ahead and get down Fauna Shaman. If something does happen to it, we still have Stinkweed Imp to kind of put some pressure on our opponent. Let's go and tap out for that. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Stinkweed Imp, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're looking at 7, so if we hit the land drop next turn, we'll be online. Now at this point right now, we can swing in with 2, 5, 3s and really trade on this one. Now if we swing in with Titania, our opponent's going to definitely offer up that trade. Let's see how we want to do this. Yeah, let's go ahead and push it on this one. Titania, I like being aggressive on this one. It's going to be 15 coming across. That'll be 17. So we're going to have to see some blocks from our opponent. At least we're going to trade with Tireless Tracker, depending how they want to get this done. We might end up, if they go Eternal Witness on Tireless Tracker, that'll take care of Eternal Witness. But at least either way, we're going to have to see some blocks from our opponent. They'll make it a Tireless Tracker 4-3, so they'll be able to take care of Eternal Witness, and then we have the 5-3 over here and 2 more 5-3. So at least it'll be a pretty good chunk of damage. Hopefully it'll put our opponent in a spot where maybe they don't want to swing across next turn. All right, opponent's going to go for Titania and Eternal Witness. That's going to be us hitting our opponent for 10, putting them down to 6, and then anything else we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So we're looking at least 2 in the air. We're going to have 2 more elementals on the battlefield, so hopefully we'll see what our opponent's turn kind of shakes out to be, but at least we'll have some really good pressure to put on our opponent. Opponent's going to go for the Tectonic Edge activation on Watery Grave, taking care of that land, and that's going to leave them 2 open mana with another active clue token. Alright, so our opponent cracked they cracked a clue token, making it a 4-3, and then no swing in from our opponent. Alright, let's see what we draw into. Once again, we're still sitting at 6 mana, so it's making it really hard to get down Muldrotha, unfortunately, with our opponent going for these Tectonic Edge activations. And then also, I just now saw that they got down Scavenger Ground, so that's going to be really hard for us to get anything going, especially with Muldrotha. How do we want to do this? So we're looking at 3 bodies coming across. We're going to see a block on the Elemental, chump block on the Tireless Tracker on the Elemental, and then one of the creatures blocks on Fauna Shaman. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then next turn we'll have it in the air. Yeah, let's go and do that. And it may be, we're just not really getting anywhere. Our opponent has tons of land destruction, so it's going to be really hard for us to really get any sort of mana going. So we really need to try and close it out with combat damage. So let's go and push in on this one. We're going to send the whole crew. We got the 2 elemental tokens blocking, so we'll probably see Primeval Titan and then Tireless Tracker on the elementals, and then at least Baleful Strix and Stinkweed Imp is going to be able to get in for 2, knocking them down to 4. And then our opponent might end up trading with the Azusa on Fauna Shaman. We'll see though. All right, opponent's going to get an extra clue token activation. All right, so we're going to be able to get in for 2s, put them down to 4. It's going to send Azusa back to the command zone. Let's go and get the swamp down, and then anything else we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So at least we do have 2 more in the air. Like I said, our opponent's a little bit low on card draw, but with that Tireless Tracker on the battlefield, they're going to be able to keep making their land drops into more card draw. So hopefully maybe we can draw into some sort of spot removal for Tireless Tracker and keep that off the battlefield. Okay, opponent's going to go for Duplicate. Let's see what they're going to target off this one. More than likely, it's going to be one of our flying creatures. Yeah, they're going to take care of Stinkweed Imp. Now, that still does give us like a 3-turn clock with Baleful Strix coming across. We are looking at about 12 points of damage from our opponent, so that's going to be about a 2 or 3-turn clock. So they start swinging in. If it's only just with prime time, that's going to be a little bit unfortunate because, like I said, there's Tireless Tracker out there with those clue tokens. But hopefully we'll see what we can't draw into something. I do know that we do have a Rancor in the deck, so if we draw into that, we can put it on Baleful Strix and hopefully kind of swing across. We don't have to worry about any extra stuff. We're playing against mono green. We do have to worry about enchantment removal, but at this point, something like Rancor would make Baleful Strix a little bit bigger and really kind of accelerate that clock against our opponent. Okay, opponent did search up Radiant Fountain off that primetime activation. It's going to be 2 life that they gain, and they did grab Haunted Fingraph, which you're going to be able to sacrifice, return target creature card at random from your graveyard to your hand. All right, we got primetime swinging across for 6. It's going to put us down to 20. Now, that's actually really big that they did grab Radiant Fountain, gaining that 2 life. It's kind of put them in a spot where they can really kind of just buy them a little bit extra turns. It almost kind of, even though it is 6 to 20, it almost kind of makes it even with that 2 life gain. All right, drawn to 3 visits. Yeah, I guess that technically is a land drop. Let's go and go for 3 visits. It's going to be 1, 2. And let's go and grab a forest, have that enter the battlefield. And now we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we are at 8 total mana. We can go for Muldrotha next turn. At this point right now, ton of clue tokens out there. We're just simply going to trade on the elemental token. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and pass the turn. I guess we could swing in with Baleful Strix against that Primeval Titan. But, you know, if we can trade the Baleful Strix on Primeval Titan, that might be a good option for us. Yeah, let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent. And opponent's going to go for some clue activations. But yeah, one of the fun things about Muldrotha is I'm a huge Sultai. I love playing Sultai. It's definitely my favorite color shard to play. And, you know, Sultai, it's always it's a fun color shard to play, but sometimes it just doesn't have that solid of a win condition. You know, you've got the Golgari aspect where you want some graveyard. You've got the library manipulation aspect of blue. So it kind of comes together and there's really nice kind of harmony playing Sultai, but it's just never really been super strong. You know, you always see Sultai and Legacy and stuff like that. But at least as far as, ooh, we got Ulamog come down. All right, there we go. Mono green Azusa right there, Ulamog. But I'll go and finish what I was talking about. But yeah, with Muldrotha, you know, building this really kind of fun Sultai style deck, this graveyard deck that just has a lot of value. You know, you got the Golgari aspect of really dredging your graveyard, and then the blue aspect of bringing stuff back. It's just, it makes for a really fun deck. And if you're thinking about building Muldrotha, definitely go for it. I cannot suggest it enough that it is such a fun commander to play. Opponent did get down Ulamog, so they did blast 2 of our lands, so the dream of getting down Muldrotha is pretty much over. And then with Ulamog being indestructible, it's going to be really hard for us to do anything outside of this. So this is pretty much what mono green does. It's kind of ramps, gets down Ulamog, kind of takes the game over from there. But we're really close, got our opponent down to 6. I actually got him down to about 4. But with just incremental land destruction against us, you know, that's part of Commander. It is what it is, but that definitely slowed us down. So maybe if that had not been on the table, we might have been able to kind of swing something out there. But yeah, unfortunately, that happened. All right, so we have Tyler's Tracker swinging across for 9. Yeah, we'll just go and leave this one up. Who knows? We might need this flyer in particular. And see what we draw into. Drawn to Sidisi's Faithful. We could bounce something back to the hand, but they're simply going to be able to recast and kind of go from there, and we cannot get down Muldrotha. So we're going to go and scoop this one up. Good game to our opponent. They were able to stabilize at about 4. But yeah, we tried to get the graveyard going. We did get down Muldrotha, but unfortunately Muldrotha got taken care of with that All Is Dust. But you can definitely see where, you know, if you haven't seen Muldrotha before, it's pretty much, we had everything that we wanted to get going. We had some good removal out of the graveyard. We also had some good fetch lands to play out of there. Finally got down Titania. I think this is the first time I've actually had her online and got some really good graveyards going. You can see how good she is, you know, coming out of the graveyard or coming out of your hand when she brings that land back to the battlefield, especially when we bring back a fetch land. And then, unfortunately, we had Fauna Shaman. You know, that's one of those cards that you can get down early, and if you can use it to really start activating, it works so good with Muldrotha, especially with Survival of the Fittest not being legal in 1-versus-1 Commander. You can discard those creature cards. Let's say we do have Fauna Shaman on the battlefield, discard Sidisi's Faithful. We can cast it for 1, search up whatever we want for. We can either cast it or recast it out of the graveyard. Makes for a really fun video, but unfortunately, Mono Green's going to take it on this one, and if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.